Where you're going, whatever.
We retired down here. We've been here about 90 years, something like that. Something.
6 for us.
Yeah, we've been here longer than you.
Wow.
So what's your background with metaphysics?
Relatively new to it, actually. Just got into it here. Got into energy healing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Healing Touch.
Yeah.
I'm a Healing Touch practitioner.
Is that like EFT also?
It's like Reiki.
It's like
It's like
Reiki.
Reiki.
It's like
Okay.
Reiki.
It's the
Yeah,
air
precision to Reiki.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little more
It's energy
technical.
healing.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a little more technical? As nurses tend to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hospitals.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I like the subject on this one.
Yeah.
So, let's see what
Abundance
it
and
does.
prosperity is a big subject. Yeah. What about you, Anne?
I'm her friend.
Yeah.
I've been retired 6 years, and when Sally was going for her Healing Touch certification, she worked on me.
Okay.
So
She was
she
my
taught
big-
me a little bit about, I was her test case, and it
Yeah.
works. She got rid of some of my headaches and things.
Oh, that's
But,
great.
you know, she's kind of got me into things.
Right.
So I'm just in the explore, discover,
Yeah, she's very intuitive.
Yeah. I see.
So we have newbies.
We have what?
Newbies.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right here. That's true. So, yeah, thanks for coming to class today. So today we're going to have 3 presenters, me, Steve, and Lynn, and we're going to talk on a slightly different topic of abundance and prosperity. So I'm going to talk more from a spiritual perspective because I'm writing a book on the vibrational economy, which kind of gets into how to spiritualize our daily interaction with each other and think about economics more in terms of spiritual giving and receiving rather than ordinary transactions. And I guess Lane is going to do a little energy work for us, right? Yeah, and Steve is going to talk about a new paradigm he's building to kind of get people's collective efforts together, maybe some things on time banking and the different pillars of your constituents and stuff like that, right? Yeah, so should we start with a little dedication prayer to bring in good energy?
Yeah, and I would just want to remind
Okay.
everybody to turn off their phone.
Yeah.
I
Do
just
you have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be interested in your backgrounds also.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So, I've been studying metaphysics for about 15 years, and I actually used to work in banking, so I've got a pretty strong interest in economics and abundance and things like that. So my role was doing financial analysis, and maybe about 10 years ago, I really got into spirituality and meditation, and I just found that the dialogues within these 2 domains are really different because in classic economics, it's primarily about ownership and maximization of profits and shareholder values and stuff like that, and it doesn't really address so much like spirituality. I mean, I think it addresses something akin to it in terms of sustainability, maybe nonprofit charity work, but as a whole, it's more about profit making than it is about even sustainability or, you know, camaraderie and spiritual uplifting. So then after I got into spirituality, I realized it was an entirely different world. Clearly my friends weren't making nearly as much money as my colleagues back in banking, but I felt like people had a different sense of abundance where it was more like a spiritual abundance and also a lot of trust with the universe. So my background was more in like analysis and calculation of income stream, but after I got into spirituality, I think I experienced that people were much more gifted with a sense of belonging to the universe and looking for like giving and feedback with the universe rather than necessarily feeling like they need to know every little thing about how to account for every little penny. So it's just a totally different vibe, and then I got into writing a book about it, so hopefully it'll come out soon. And yeah, so that's kind of my background in this whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started studying metaphysics when I was 19, so I've been doing this a really long time. And I was about 30 when I found out what Reiki was, and so I went through and did my Reiki mastership. And after that, I worked with my Reiki master and went through another 2 years of training to do angelic light body which is a more active form of Reiki. At this point, what I do now is intuitive energy healing. I call it angelic light and sound, because one of the gifts that I received was what's called intuitive intonation, where I can use sound to help break up the energy patterns of people's bodies. And we'll do a little bit of that at the end of this class. And aside from that, I raised 4 kids. I've raised 4 girls. And I recovered from really debilitating anxiety and depression just through energy healing. And so now I teach here. We do the Monday night classes on manifesting your life to be what you want it to be, based on getting in tune with your higher self and bringing in your soul's guidance, presence, and work with angels and that kind of stuff too.
She's a walking angel. Angel incarnate. Okay, Steve.
As for me, let's see where we're starting now.
I know, there's so much, right?
It's a little complicated, but basically I've kind of called myself a Renaissance man for the last few decades, because I have a lot of different interests, a lot of different talents, and even though that we live in a society that says, you need to pick one thing, that's what you need to be that. I could never do that. And so now, I've worked through my life and my patterns a bit, and a few years ago I felt really compelled to live a year without using money. So I did that here in Sarasota, and just bartered and opened myself up to serve, and the community took care of me, and I realized other just entirely different reality of what abundance is and how life provides and all that sort of thing. And so since then, now I've kind of, I think in the last year I've published 2 books. I've got 2 more in the works. I've got 2 different shows going on, and just have a great community. And one of the books that I'm working on now is this theory that I've kind of developed over the last few years called ABC squared economics. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later on, but basically it's the ABC squared stands for artistry, business, citizenry, and community. And those are the 4 key areas that every human participates in their lives. If your artistry isn't actual pen and paper or painting or whatever, it's still the art of your life. It's what you make of your life, what you do with the time and space and relationships you're given with. And so that's the art that we really create. But that kind of paradigm is looking at the balance of nature and the balance of humanity and all our different parts. And so that's what I'm more compelled with, getting people to realize about themselves and about the world that we're living in, and how we can build on the patterns that are already in the world around us in order to create a greater abundance for all, instead of continuing to perpetuate the scarcity mentality that so many people are using to feed off of so many people that don't deserve to be cannibalized.
Milked.
Yeah, basically. So
Cacao.
yeah, and there's it's an exciting time to be alive, because there are a lot of people who are opening up to that reality. A lot of the things we watch on TV aren't really as true as we like to think, and there's a lot more out there, and a lot more ways that the universe provides for us and gives to us than we're readily available to understand.
That's
Sure.
interesting.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're all pretty radical. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, abundance is very much a very subjective feeling. For different people, it can mean really different things, and it could be like a combination of different material possessions to spiritual, endowments. And I think it's important to be flexible for ourselves, what is deemed suitable for us. And I think the biggest change for me was after I got off banking and started doing more independent contracts in the spiritual community. I really had to cut down my expenses, because I used to live in big house and apartments in New York and buying lots of stuff, and that was my source of happiness. And I definitely don't condemn it, because it's what it is. Some people really enjoy it, and then you can give to other people by having material abundance. But I think once I made life choices to kind of be more lean on my earning, I had to really be more careful about how I spend money. So I trimmed down my expenses, moved to smaller apartments, and I lived in a spiritual community for a while. I lived in a Buddhist meditation center. So we each had our room, and then we shared a meditation hall and community kitchen and whatever. And as we were saying, actually it was a very enjoyable experience because you're really close to people, because you're sharing the same proximal space, and then you really get to know each other and help each other out. And I realized, I just didn't need to have a lot of stuff because you're sharing community utensils and chairs, anything that you can think about, So they kind of become your family. So this sense of like family enlarged a lot. I think I used to think it was my ex-husband, that was my family and my parents or whatever. But once I started doing the spiritual thing, it's like, they're my family, these people are my family, and we live in a community and we share resources, cars and whatever. I think it's just like being a lot more flexible with sense of ownership, and also I felt really abundant actually as a result of having so many friends. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff down on the phone, but it's like getting videotaped, so I can't remember. But some of the key points that I recognize, one is law of attraction, and another one is service to self versus service to others, and another one is synchronicity. So I'll get into each one. So the law of attraction, I'm sure you guys are familiar with it because it's such a modus operandi way of thinking nowadays in spirituality. It's just what you send out, you attract. And I think from my experience of abundance, it's really from my heart. I really am very grateful for everything I do have, and I don't necessarily measure abundance in terms of money anymore. I measure it in terms of my spiritual abundance and ease of doing things, and just having a sense of gratitude that everything is working out in my life, and then being very flexible about using resources. So from my heart, I feel really abundant, and I feel like I exude that. And in response, I get a lot of people who share that same mentality. So I have spiritual friends who actually don't have that material possession, but they seem to lead a very happy, joyful life. And I think it's really, well, by the same token, I have really wealthy friends who also feel that. So I think it's just very much like your own state of mind, but the more you can embody that sense of ease and flow, the more it'll come back to you. So that's like a big one to me. Another big one is the idea of synchronicity. I think I'm much more cyclically in tune with the higher self than I used to be, because my job was like very analytical, so everything had to be processed through numbers and what have you. But now I'm a tarot card reader and a meditation instructor, so it's a lot more right brain and psychically in tune, and I think I just make decisions a lot more from that space, and it's a space of trusting and being in the now rather than having to feel like I have to know everything. So that's a big one, and I feel like my life is more magical as a result because it's a little bit less ordinary and more interesting. Like things just show up, and it's like, oh, I guess that's what the universe is bringing me today. So it's another sense of really magical synchronicity. Like for example, I notice a lot 11, 11, 12, 12, like all these synchronistic numbers, and to me that's like the angels being abundant with me. So it's like just totally different way of experiencing life. Yeah, like I said, I don't remember what I wrote, but I wrote a lot of stuff. Yeah, like I just feel like also there's a huge difference between classic economics and what I'm trying to write in terms of vibrational economics, because now everybody's getting into the language of quantum reality where we're really connected to everything and everyone. So of course that's related to law of vibration, what you send out through vibratory percolation, you get that attracted to you and magnify. And as a result, I feel like in our everyday dealing with economics, it's really important to loosen this sense of ownership. Like, this belongs to me and belongs to me only, and if somebody wanted to use it, I have to draft up some contracts and stuff, because if we're gonna try to marry this idea of quantum reality where everyone's related to this like 3D ego sheath bound mentality, we have to be willing to exercise these loosening of boundary in our own lives. And I think that's a really big one, because it helps to make our own frequency more resilient and more expansive, and you just see yourself in your relationship with others and in empowering others to build a better life, and your sense of love is greater. And yeah, it's a very nice way of living. So I enjoy it, and that's why I decided to write about it and have, you know, like a focus forum like that where people hopefully eventually will actually have weekly classes where people can talk about challenges that they're experiencing in their lives, and then maybe as a group we can help to facilitate some transformation, because I think ultimately everything is happening in the mind, and if we can purify our mind to be more virtuous and more service to other people oriented, we can create an outer reality that's like that. And I also get into some like exopolitics stuff, which kind of gets into the history of money and how it's been unfortunately manipulated on the planet to, you know, have this massive inequality, and I think that sets up a lot of limitation for people. So I think a lot of that is changing at the macro level with things like cryptocurrency and all these alternative ways of exchange that's more fair for people. So I think there's going to be a loosening of constraint at the macro level, but I do think ultimately it's a spiritual practice. So that's my whole thing. Yeah. Do you guys have any feedback, or you want to go on to the next speaker? What's your experience of abundance? Like, how do you experience it?
It's when I feel full and
Yeah.
happy, you know,
Yeah.
not full in the sense of I ate too much, but when
Right.
I feel like my life is full and I look at my friends and I'm blessed to have
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and my family's doing well, and
Yeah.
you know, I just feel good about it.
Yeah.
It's just a sense of I'm comfortable in my
Yeah.
own skin, and I'm comfortable, you know, with the people around me. I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about. Now I have an MBA too,
Right.
and I'm used to economics, but if cryptocurrency was equalizing things, then it wouldn't have had the fluctuations in value in the world market. It's just another form of currency, and to me it's behaving the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It may have potential to be a worldwide currency like gold used to be,
Right.
or spices, but there's still going to be inequality with whoever, say, bought cryptocurrency.
That's true.
I mean, they did a whole Big Bang show about how
Right.
Sheldon got rich because he bought the crypto stock.
Mhm.
So I think if you're talking economics of abundance, what you would want to do is do well to share the resources that you were
Yeah.
fortunate enough to possess.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the giving and the receiving is huge.
It's huge, and
It's
you pay
really
it,
huge.
pay it forward. You
Yeah.
always feel better
Yeah.
when you give, or when
Right.
you're a caregiver. I mean, I think you get as much from Healing Touch
I do.
when you saw me get better
Yeah.
as I felt when you got rid of my headache.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's more the economics. It's kind of not in a currency form,
Mhm.
but if you could measure the happiness that you
Yeah.
get, or the peace that you get by giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, you know, with what we call our economy, it's moved from the oikonomia that the Greek first talked about, where it was, you know, this is the rules of the house. You know, and the economy was about how do you disperse the resources so that we all have what we need and we feel abundant in that regard. Where now it's more of a chromatastics type of thing, where it's more it's focused on just the currencies, you know.
Right.
And so it's not about real abundance. It isn't about the currencies. That's just an accounting thing.
Currency
you know?
is just a medium
All
of
of money
exchange.
is just a
Right.
way of, it's just memory. That's all that it is. Whether it's the yen or the dollar or the Bitcoin or any of those particular currencies, it's just another way that we like to be able to keep track of things, as if we can actually keep control of all of this, you know. And so it's a silly little delusion that we do as humans, but I think more and more people are waking up to this idea that it's more about the resources that you actually have and the actual things that fill your life, not just the numbers we keep track of as much.
I'm just here.
I'm
just here, I'm listening.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah. Okay, who wants to go next? You
Well,
guys?
I was gonna suggest that maybe I did a little bit of energy work for everybody
Okay.
to like get us more opened on the upper end so that we're feeling more inspired and I have a little more clarity
Okay.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And but in fact, would you like to start, because we do whatever we do, we kind of like put a little bit of meditation into it.
Sure.
Because because instead of us just being in our, whatever's going on in our minds or what we think we're doing, it's just
Mhm.
good to get, so why
Yeah,
don't you
sure,
just
I'll
give
lead a
us like a
meditation.
little few minutes of a meditation,
Okay, yeah.
and then,
Alright, so let's sit with our back straight. You can put your hands together on your lap. Just imagine yourself sinking deeper into your chair, relaxing with every breath that you take. Notice the cool air as you breathe in and the warm air as you breathe out. With every breath that you take, we realize that this is nourishment from the universe to heal our body and our mind, to remove obstacles in ourselves, and to rejuvenate all of our cells. We feel blessed with this inflow of life. And then when we breathe out, we imagine that we're breathing out gratitude and abundance and prosperity to the rest of the universe, as everything is an exchange. What we have within, we give to others abundantly. Next, we imagine that we dissolve completely into light, and that there is a funnel of beautiful white light coming from the heavens, entering directly into our crown, emanating through the entirety of our body, making us feel pure and light. This is the light of nectar from the universe, which gives us freely to nourish our soul. It's an unconditional giving that we can give to ourselves anytime we wish. In this group session, we create the intention to help each other better understand our lives, our purpose on this planet, to be channels of abundance, awareness, and high frequency for both our lives and for others, so that we may receive blessing and bestow blessings for all living beings everywhere. When we're ready, we can gather all the positive energy that we have experienced here and dedicate it to relieve suffering throughout the entire universe and to bring happiness to all. When we're ready, we can bring our awareness to the present now and open our eyes. Ready to take a nap?
no, I'm just thinking like what a lovely difference it makes if, instead of going head first
Yeah, that's
into
true.
something, because I know for myself I get kind of all stuck up in my head and I can't really think very clearly, and just 3 minutes of that meditation puts me in a space where I realize that it's not just all about what's in my head.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really more about getting in the heart. Because if we reside in our hearts, the machinations in our head aren't nearly as important. Because we can spend a lot of time up here trying to figure things out and talking about all these things that, in a sense, they're not even real. Like finances, like in the world as it is now, it's all fabricated. It's a completely fabricated system. It's really complex, but still, it has nothing to do with being natural. I come from like looking at, because I forgot to mention that I also have studied permaculture. I'm certified permaculture designer. Do you know what that is?
No.
I know what
you're in
perma is, and I know
it's
what
when you-
culture is, but
It's
no.
when you go plant lettuce and you pull it out yourself.
Oh, okay. All
Well,
right,
actually,
so it's,
well, it's actually the short answer to that is it's it's organic farming and sustainable living combined. But
Okay.
actually, it's really much more than that. In fact, the part of permaculture that I liked is of course the spiritual side of it, where you just recognize that life existed in fabulously for thousands and millions of years, literally, and it's only become what man has made it be more recently. But if we actually look at things from the perspective of nature, if we look at how nature has managed, nature has a natural economy of everything is symbiotic, everything is in a flow, that they all support, in a sense they all support each other. The different facets of nature, quite literally, it is all self-sustaining within itself. And so we've come along and we've kind of interrupted that and tried to impose what we wanted to, but the systems that we've created are not necessarily as effective as going back to the models of nature. And so part of the premise of permaculture is like how you arrange your environment to make it simple so that there's less work and more abundance. Again, the thing that I like about it is taking that kind of thinking and just bringing it into any other realm. You can apply that to anything. So I would suggest that one of the things that I like to do for everybody is just a little bit more of a meditation of getting you present in your bodies. Because when we were talking about doing this class, I meditate and I do a channeling. I get inspiration. I do this regularly every day for years and years now. And I was really inspired to not just share about, on a practical level, about the things that I really love about, alternatives to the way the systems that are in place, but these new alternative systems like time banking or bartering or gifting and that kind of alternative thinking about ways to create abundance that aren't related to money. But what I realized was that part of what I could do would be to help you to realize is that abundance has a lot to do with how much your own energy field is in the flow. Because when you're connected on both ends, you're really inspired, as well as also being really grounded. And you know what I mean by grounded?
Yep.
Okay. If there's anything that I'm speaking of or any terms that I use that you don't have an understanding of, please don't feel free to ask at any time, okay? If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, just feel free to interject. So if it's okay with you, now what I do is, of course, hands-on energy healing, and then I also do this intonation called the hue, which is a sound like and this is a very clarifying sound that can vibrate your energy field, essentially. So I would offer to literally open up your crown chakra and blow that sound into your crown chakra on the top of your head. So I just have to kind of ask if I have permission
Yeah.
to touch you.
Just watch her do you.
That's fine.
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
And if you're comfortable with it, I'll do
Yeah.
you. And if you're not comfortable with it, then you know
I'll
it's,
watch it and
it's
I'll decide.
entirely.
It's not my best morning. I was rear-ended on my way here,
Oh,
so
no.
my chakra's really
Oh,
messed
well, then
up.
all the more reason
Yeah,
why
yeah.
you might like to
I
get
know,
a little
I
something.
know. The
something
meditation
there.
was good. Sally's like, we're gonna go meditate.
Oh, well, we can do some more meditation. Actually, you know, surprisingly,
No, that's all right.
part of changing your perspective or changing your mind is not just about directly re-educating yourself. It is also about clearing your energy
Mhm.
field so that you're open to be able to integrate these new concepts. Because otherwise, it only gets this far. It only, like, it's like here, but it's not like down into the rest of your body. And, you know, truly because that, well, you're familiar with chakras,
Oh, I know what it is. I know.
So you're familiar with
Believe
chakras
me, I
as
know.
well.
And I'm
So-
meditated.
And you well know then that, you know, the abundance is, if it, or your sense of security, which is kind of the same thing, has everything to do with your bottom chakra. So if we're open on the both ends and our bottom chakra is connected down into the earth and we're fully breathing and in the flow, and that has as much to do with changing our minds as anything else that we could learn, quite literally. So let's just do a little bit of breathing, because I like to get you aware that you can focus on a chakra, whatever issue that you're dealing with, whatever it is that you're trying to change about your life, whatever you want to introduce into your life. Each chakra represents a different subject. So I'm just going to do probably your top and your bottom chakras and maybe your hearts, just to keep it simple. But you can actually take this concept of breathing and visualization and apply that to any of the chakras. Like if you're having trouble speaking up, if you're having trouble communicating with people, you can focus on your throat chakra, and you can use an affirmation or a visualization or the color of the chakra, or you can use a sound, which is all of what I do is intuitive. So anybody can do this. It's not like, oh, well, there's a certain sound that goes, I mean, yeah, there is a line of thinking that there's a certain sound that goes with each chakra, but I look at it like our body knows what we need already, and so it's just going to naturally be able to do whatever it is that you need to do within its own body wisdom, within its own body consciousness. So, and I'll do you guys too as well, because then that might help you feel a little more inspired, even though you don't have your notes.
No, I'm already over that. It's okay. I think I said most of what I need to say. It's fine.
But you're gonna need to go more into the details
Yeah.
of
On
what.
vibrational economics and all that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think that's a good start.
Okay. Well, then I'll just get started. If you could just pull your chair up just a little bit so that I can get behind you.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna move your purse over here so you don't bump into that or anything. All right, and so you could be doing this at the same time that we're doing this without me being, you know, with you, because you can simply, like I said, we're just gonna imagine.
I'll try to
Absolutely.
follow up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you guys as well. So we're just gonna imagine breathing your own spirit, your own energy, your own higher consciousness into your crown. And if you would imagine that your crown is like a little vortex that's opening. And as you breathe in, the love, light of the universe, the essence of your whole spirit, that wisdom of the consciousness, the cosmic consciousness. You can imagine the color royal purple, like the color of a black light. This is the representative of the crown chakra. your bottom and at the bottoms of your feet and down into the earth, all the way to the core at the center of the earth, that crimson red, molten lava, fire, all the energy that you could ever need, and just breathe that bright red back up into the bottoms of your feet and into your bottom between your legs and back up your spine and out the top of your head back up to your soul star. This is the simplest form of connecting and reconnecting that we can do, so that we are quite literally open and receiving, giving, and in the flow on both ends, above and below. Now, unfortunately, I can't really get to doing bottom chakras under these circumstances, so that's why I want you to just continue to just imagine the same way that you have a vortex on the top of your head, or like in Buddhism they call it a thousand petal lotus. You have one on your bottom end, and this obviously is your first chakra. It's represented by the color red. It's our sense of security and our connectedness to the earth. So just keep imagining, keep your attention focused on that color red and breathing that up into your body, up your spine, through your heart, out the top of your head, up to your soul star, which looks like the sun, and then back down into your body. Do you want me to bow you into your Anne, are you okay? Would you?
I'm fine.
Would you like for me to?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Kathy?
Yeah, you can do it. I love it when you do it.
Yeah.
I love her hue. I just like get all this vibration in my head when she does it.
Well, then maybe I should try it.
It's amazing. Like all the cells are vibrating.
I find that noise disturbing.
Oh,
Like
do
I-
you?
Yeah, I
Well,
do.
maybe that's
A
okay.
wrong tone from you. Now, like with those bowls, the
Mhm.
sound
Yeah.
bowls, some of them I love,
Okay.
and some of them I can't tolerate.
Okay.
And I find that disturbing. I mean, for me, it's not
It's
a
not the right
pleasant
tone
noise.
for you.
Right.
So, I
That's
don't
okay.
think, I don't know if it would go in my head really. It would not go in my ears well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm really fussy, like
Uh-huh.
chalk on
Don't
a
worry about it.
blackboard.
Oh,
Crazy.
okay.
Like
Right.
I kept saying, some of the sound bowls are beautiful,
Sure.
and then others are an irritant.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. Because if it's doesn't feel good for you, here's the thing: is that you yourself can explore what does feel good.
Oh,
to
I
you.
know.
And
Yeah.
that's the difference, and that's why I recommend to people that you actually try this yourself and find that place that it does resonate with you.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you would be interested in doing an intonation just to see how that vibrates in your body, because that would give you an opportunity to see if you could find a sound that did feel good to you. Because it's not just about a hue. I mean, it could be an ohm, it could be anything that you wanted to use. But that's just another option of something that we could do.
You mean for us to do the?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not so much interested.
Don't worry about
I don't know
it.
quite what you, if it's my sound.
Yes,
She wants
yeah,
us
I
to
mean,
make
it
the
would be
sound.
you
She would lead us,
actually
and we would make the
doing
sound.
it.
If you're
Oh,
comfortable, I'm
okay.
happy to listen.
Yeah.
No, not comfortable. They always told me
Yeah.
to mouth, not to sing.
Well, I don't even do
So
that
it
in
was
church.
something.
Who told you
Yes,
that?
the nuns. And sorority. I mean, it's like anytime you were in a singing group, talk, stay in the back row and mouth. You cannot sing. So I'm like a monotone.
Oh, I don't.
But there are
yeah.
plenty of sounds that I love, and there's meditation music that I play when I
Sure.
meditate at home that I love. But that sound was not one that I
Well,
loved.
you know, this is like super interesting because we're talking about abundance and what have you, and I've been studying with the Tibetan monastic folks for a long time, and there's this practice of renunciation and asceticism, which pretty much, like saying, you don't even really need that much materialism to feel that sense of suppleness, because all you need to do is work on your subtle body, and when you do that, you energetically create abundance, just sense of complete well-being that almost no amount of material can really do it for you. I mean, ultimately the idea is you feel so good inside that of course you're still in a 3D, so you bring it out and then you attract what comes to you. But the whole point is to work enough on your subtle body to get yourself up to that level of self-sufficiency that you just feel so wonderful all the time. That is abundance.
Truly.
Yeah, that
Because
really is.
if you literally have, you know, like when you fall in love and you have that, you're just happy as happy can be, that nothing else matters. All that you want is just to hang out with that person, whether that's you're in love with a partner, or even if you're in love with your baby. It becomes where, you know, you don't care about stuff in the world. You don't care about anything except that you can be with that which you love and that which loves you. So that again is like another form of abundance.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because, you know, with all the spiritual stuff I study, it talks about ascension process, because we're now in this material 3D dimension, and as we ascend spiritually, eventually we'll go to 4D or 5D, and there it's not so much material bound anymore. There's not so much of this sense of duality, and everything's energy. It's a lot more flexible. So I feel like it's part of what we're doing with abundance is to try to get us up to that level of ascension. So we're not having
Where
to.
are you studying? Where are you studying this?
Well, my main stake of study is with Kadampa, which is a Tibetan Buddhist. Have you been there before?
Yes, we both.
Yeah, so I actually live there right now, and I've been practicing with them for like 10 years, and I lived in upstate New York Temple for 2 years. So I've been to so many retreats, and it's always about being happy within, independent of material. And I mean, I haven't gone as far as like, I'm gonna have nothing, you know, like I'm not quite that interested in that, but I feel like it's really an inside job, and I have direct experiential to really know that. And stuff like ascension, I integrate a lot of other things that I study, and like Law of One and Course in Miracle. It really is about just getting to that state of blessedness where you're blessing the whole world because you have that in you. And the more we could do that, the more we can just get out of this limited time and space, because the physical is very limited. Like, you know, you want to go here and there, you need to have a vehicle or you need to walk. And the physical body requires sustenance, resources, and what have you. But the more we work on our spirit, the more it's becoming independent of all of that. And you just feel really good all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered where you were getting your guidance from, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, I definitely say the Tibetan because that's where I got all of my retreats and direct experience. Going to another retreat for a month, and it's to be close to my Guru deity, which is, you know, the tantric empowerment. And, you know, we can heal ourselves, like medicine, Buddha empowerments and what have you. And they're not saying don't deal with the world. They're not saying that at all. They're just saying get that suppleness inside so that when you are interacting with the world, you're helping people instead of struggling for survival and self-cherishing and self-service, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a real change in perspective, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it really is.
It's not a,
yeah.
what can I get? What can I have? What makes me look like something?
Right, it's
to-
totally the opposite.
I'm already fulfilled.
Right,
I'm already divine.
right,
My true gift to the world is being love
Right.
embodied
right, right.
and being light embodied.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
And
point.
then actually light, as in light, information, love, light,
Mhm.
that's our real modicum of exchange.
Mhm.
It's really not about paper. Paper became a representation of power, but that's just energy.
Mhm.
Well, that's what, some of what you said before about that ability to help other people, and how it makes you feel good to
Yeah,
serve other people
sure.
and spread that light,
Absolutely.
I had a friend the other day who was just, going through a lot of friends, a few of them actually. And both of them, when they're going through hard times, you want somebody to talk to, you need somebody to help you out. But there's also this, I don't want to be a burden on
Mhm.
people, I don't want to, be that. And I was like, but you have to understand that other people being able to help you is how we feel good about ourselves, because it makes us feel so good to be able to resonate with that. And when you are, filling yourself with light, and you're, taking care of yourself, and you're resonating with a spiritual level, and someone else comes into your life and you have that ability to kind of lift them up with that, that's just a really even more empowering to
Right.
be able to help other people like that. And I think that's a lot of what this vibrational economics is about, is being able to vibrate on that level where you can not only have enough abundance for yourself, but also be able to pull up everybody else with you, because then, that's a truer case of abundance and prosperity in everybody's
Right.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. Mhm.
And time is another form of abundance
Mhm.
that I don't think people really put a lot of focus into. Like, if we're all so busy in the world doing what we think we have to do to manifest things, to generate money or incomes, that kind of thing, we're not as available for people to be in symbiosis with each other, to actually engage with people on a human level,
Mhm.
just to be present for whatever they're going through. Because sometimes just listening
Mhm.
is enough.
Oh, sure.
Just knowing that somebody cares relieves that distress of feeling alone. I mean, there's so much abundance in the world. In fact, there's almost, like, in my opinion, it almost seems like there is an excess. I mean, if anything, it's not a matter of do we have enough, it's a matter of can we share it more evenly and get that actual flow going,
Mhm.
where it's not just sitting in clumps in places, and then other places are like desperately needing. So one thing that we didn't really get a chance to do, I think we're gonna take just a little 5-minute break in between 11 and 12.
Okay.
But before, or maybe I should wait until we come back. As I just wanted to ask you girls what when you read the description, what attracted your attention, what really brought you here, and what is it that you're thinking that you would like to get out of this? Because that's really important, so that we understand that, so that we might be able better to focus what we're presenting to you. So it's not like you need to answer that question now, it's more like just something to think about. And then, if you want, we can just take a 5-minute break if anybody needs to go relieve themselves from all this drinks that we.
I can see. I can see now.
You can see
Yeah,
now
you
you
take
take
a
a
break.
break.
I'm gonna get some water. Thank you.
Yeah.